Welcome to the Healthy Living Podcast, hosted by coaches Bill and Esten. With so many fitness fads and trends, compounded with hundreds of mixed reviews, it is nice to know that this madness can be simplified into meaningful content, whether you want to believe it or not. There are millions of Americans that are literally eating themselves to death, a learned behavior that has been passed down from generation to generation. Let's connect with the team that has the knowledge and experience to change this.
Welcome everyone, this is Coach Bill with Coach Esten, and today's segment is regarding low testosterone, or low T. Testosterone is a hormone produced by the human body, mainly by men, and affects a man's appearance and sexual development. And it's something that we lose over a period of time. And here to talk more about this is Coach Esten. Take it away, Coach Esten.
Well, hello, thank you for that segue.
Yes.
So as you mentioned, testosterone is considered mostly a sex hormone for males. It helps us build our muscle mass, our bone mass, but also just to any of our female listeners, women also produce small amounts of testosterone in their ovaries and adrenal glands in the form of androgen. Conversely, we men produce androgens as well, but in us it's more estrogen based. So together with female sex hormones in females like estrogen, testosterone plays a role in their growth and maintenance of their female reproductive tissue and bone mass. But today we're going to talk mostly about the effects in men because it has a greater effect. So men can experience a range of symptoms if their testosterone begins to decrease more than it should. Low testosterone, as you said, Bill, low T, is diagnosed when levels fall below 300 nanograms per deciliter whenever you get your blood test. Your doctor will tell you if yours is in the normal range or below that. Mine, unfortunately, is like 180 or something like that.
Yeah.
So weight, age, your fitness level, and timing of working out all matter with that. They can influence it, but like you said, Bill, it's a natural decline in males. Women go through menopause. We go through a thing called andropause. So a range of symptoms, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, can occur if testosterone production drastically drops below that normal range of 300. So let's talk about some of the signs of low T, because they're so subtle and they happen gradually over time that a man may not be realizing that, oh yeah, this is me.
When you say stardust, and what around do you think?
Well, middle age. So depending on a man's weight, and fitness level at they're around 40s. This can either start in their 40s or a little bit delayed a little bit. If a man is more athletic or an athlete, it can be delayed because exercise has been shown to boost testosterone levels. Okay. Also regularity of intimacy also can delay that. If you have a regular sexual partner, you're being regularly sexually active, that also helps delay this. Mm-hmm. So, and there are some genetic factors, but mostly middle age.
My wife.
I'm sorry?
Pass that along to my wife.
Please, yes. Yeah. So I put together 12 signs of low T. So let's talk about some of them. The first one, which I think is the most obvious one, is a decrease in sex drive. Because testosterone does play a role in our libido. Some men may experience a decline in their sex drive as they age. However, someone with low T will likely experience a drastic drop in desire. They don't even want to be touched. They don't want to cuddle. It's blah. It's kind of like they're pre-pubescent, like how heterosexual boys looked at girls when they were younger. Ooh, girls, cooties. It kind of almost goes back to that. They really just have no umph at all. Mm-hmm. With that also will come a difficulty with erections. They kind of go hand in hand. With testosterone stimulates a man's sex drive, it also helps achieve and maintain an erection. So many times other health problems start to play in erectile dysfunction as we get older, like diabetes, thyroid problems. Someone has high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Smoking doesn't help. Alcohol use doesn't help. Depression, negative stress influences, and of course that can lead to anxiety. So all of those can lead to erectile dysfunction, but this on top of that doesn't help.
Right.
And then of course what would follow that would be low semen volume, hair loss, fatigue, muscle mass, because testosterone helps maintain our muscle mass. It'll help also, and I say that in quotes, with loss of it. I mean, we normally lose body mass, lean body mass, muscle mass as we age anyways. It's part of the aging process. This just speeds it up.
Right.
And as your muscle mass decreases, that's your furnaces that create your metabolism. And if you're maintaining the same types of eating behaviors, and you're going to start to increase your fat mass, excuse me.
Right.
Your appetite also may change too because of the depression, the anxiety. A lot of individuals start reaching for those comfort foods, which are high in simple sugars, carbohydrates, which are easily converted into fats. Bone mass will decrease. Men do get what's called osteopenia. Very few get osteoporosis.
What's the is it just the
Penia means little, so it's a little bone loss.
okay.
The bones aren't completely porous like an osteoporosis, but they are getting hollowed out.
Quick question. Well, not a question, but a comment about as you get older, your eating habits change. Your cravings change as well, or increase, I should say. That actually makes sense because I know our mom and dad became really I call them sweet tooths as they got, and our aunts and uncles would always have candy and stuff. So it's
I know.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, also it goes back to, when you're younger, you're being rewarded with sweets. So sweet is a reward. It helps boost your mood. So a lot of times as people get older, I know with our parents, depression started to set in. And for them, that was a way of making them feel a little bit better.
Yep.
So I think it's more of a psychological balm than it is actually a physiological need. So that kind of goes back to like number 9 would be mood changes. Memory starts to be affected. I mean, as we get older, memory's harder and harder as it is, but this will also make that a little bit harder. And then, of course, I think the obvious thing would be your testicle size would start to shrink. And then lastly, there's going to be changes in your blood. Testosterone helps with maintaining also normalcy in your blood counts, red cells versus white cells versus platelets. So you're going to have low blood counts. They're going to be off a little bit.
What is low?
I don't have specific numbers.
What's low in the blood, though?
Just the counts, the red blood cells versus white blood cells versus platelets. Those numbers are going to be off a little.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier about fitness, and I kind of put out there that fitness can help. There's still doctors and fitness professionals still have a lot to learn about exercise and its effect on testosterone. We're still studying low T and still trying to find out really what helps, what doesn't help. But several factors besides a person's workout are involved, obviously. But one thing that is clear is you need to make exercise a habit in order to get the benefits of exercise. And after exercise, testosterone levels do rise, just not for very long. So if a male is over fat, exercise can improve testosterone levels by helping shed those extra fat pounds. That's just an overall blanket statement as far as one of the benefits of exercising.
Right.
Older men seem to get less of a post-exercise boost in testosterone, but still exercise offers many other health benefits for older men, which includes bone and muscle health and just a better balance between the two.
Let me ask a quick question here. Older is relative, right? So I think what the statement is trying to state is older meaning if 40s versus 50, 50 versus 60, 60 versus, et cetera. So, so as you go through each decade, the boost in testosterone levels is not as great as maybe the decade before. Or
correct.
I really think there's so many factors. This is just a blanket statement. It can vary based on your health, so overall health.
And technically, andropause starts in our 40s, and then every 7 to 10 years, there's another dramatic drop, and then you go through it again every 7 to 10. People call them midlife crises. So a man will go through several midlife crises as he ages past the age of 40, whereas a woman will go through menopause once, get it over and done with.
All right.
We men technically can reproduce until our dying day, but we keep having drops in that ability as we age. And that's why we have these mood swings, these radical thoughts every 7 to 10 years as we begin to feel our vitality slowly, ebbingly fall away. A friend of mine who's in his 70s now said it's like falling off a cliff backwards, but very, very slowly, like you're in slow motion. And that's what it feels like for a man as we age, is that it's this slow motion decline into decrepitude. And if you are sedentary, it's even worse.
Sure.
Being active actually can slow down that process. Of course, also, I think we should mention that testosterone levels will vary throughout a man's day. I think it's been tested that a man has a sexual thought every 10 seconds, but rarely do we act on that. But there are some times of the day where we're more amorous than others. For some men, they're more of a morning person. Some are more afternoon, some are more evening, some are more 3 o'clock in the morning. And that kind of gives you a clue of when your testosterone levels may be peaking based on your circadian rhythms and your lifestyle. Right. So levels are typically highest in the morning, and they tend to be lower in the afternoon. Whether that's because in the morning we get a boost of cortisone to wake us up and get us going. It's kind of like our caffeine, our natural caffeine of the body. And then that will decrease as we begin to eat, and our body focuses more on digestion. I don't know, but it sounds plausible that could be a reason why. And mostly it's natural for us, because we're mammals, to take a nap in the afternoon, to take a siesta. That's actually a natural biological rhythm that we've gotten away from as a society, in Western society, especially here in the United States of America.
Right.
So, but research has found that strength training workouts may have a bigger effect on testosterone in the evening. So as a result, the brief boost from exercise sessions might even be bigger if you schedule an after work workout instead of doing it early morning, since in the morning you naturally would have a high level anyways. Maybe it's best to give you like a booster shot in the late afternoon, evening by working out, and that way it'll get you through until the next morning. So if a man starts exercising, he may get bigger, though still brief, boost little testosterone levels, than a man who's already in good shape. But after a few weeks, their body, of course, gets used to that challenge. Eventually, they'll go back to having those lower hormone responses from the same workout. So the body will adapt back to we call its baseline. It's what it considers its normal state. That's strength training. Now, endurance training, as well as resistance training like weightlifting, will both boost the testosterone levels briefly. So lifting weights or doing other strength training workouts has a bigger effect on testosterone. There are some strategies that a man can do, like let's see. Following strategies will give a man an even bigger boost in testosterone from their strength training workouts, and that's backed up from research. Although endurance training also can do that too.
Right.
So I don't want anyone to think, well, why should I do any endurance training? You still get benefits. I think it's the coupling of the two that give you the better results.
I mean, either one or combination of.
Yeah, the more muscles you use, the more effect you're going to have. So that's why a full body workout will affect testosterone more than just doing one.
Right.
Like, I'm just going to do bicep curls today.
Right.
Well, that's not going to give you the same effect if you did a total body response. So a recommendation is lift heavier weights rather than doing many reps of light weights. Have shorter rest periods during your workout. That'll make it more endurance. So you're kind of getting a circuit.
Like a hit?
So you're getting like an endurance / resistant training coupling together.
Yep.
Of course, still one should build an overall exercise plan that does include cardio and flexibility training. So they're helping their overall health. So I know a lot of people go, well, I don't like to walk on the treadmill. It's boring.
Right.
Well, then don't do the treadmill.
Yep.
Walk outside or take some type of group exercise class. Because then you'll be using many muscles, moving in different planes, using multiple joints. It's more kinetic. It's more engaging. I'm more of a group exercise person. I agree. A treadmill is boring. A bicycle because you're using the same joints in the same way.
Too, pretty much.
Yeah, same. It's over. So you get overuse of your hip flexors because you're always using your hip flexors and you're not using your ad and abductors, as an example. So I totally understand how that can be. But get clever. And then flexibility training, you can, with yoga or Pilates or just a good old-fashioned stretching that you learned with doing calisthenics has benefits. But overdoing it, though, of course, can backfire, and I'm a walking, or should I say limping example of that. Elite athletes and even amateurs who overtrain, you will see a drop in your testosterone levels, which is a sign that you're doing harm to your body because you're in kind of like a crisis repair mode, fight or flight, which can over time decrease your hormone levels of testosterone. So in these cases, individuals who do overtrain tend to have low testosterone and high cortisol or cortisone stress hormone that I mentioned before.
Which, as we know, is a fat blocker.
Yeah, over time. And we need cortisone. We need all of the cortisols our body makes. But again, too much of a good thing is not bad. So here's some other signs of overtraining: excessive soreness in the body, trouble recovering from your workouts. Usually you should recover from a cardio workout within 24 hours. You should be able to recover from a strength training within 48. You'll have trouble sleeping. And then overall, you'll see losses in your performance and your strength overall. So give enough time to rest between the workouts. And of course, eat healthfully to help your body recover after the workouts, because you need to put in the right building materials or recovery materials so your body can utilize them to recover from your exercise. So go ahead.
I was going to say, touch base this for about a minute. Healthy, eat healthy. So what would you recommend as one or two items of food after a workout? I'm thinking you need your protein, right? And what else would you recommend?
Well, just some other because people go out for dinner sometimes after they work out. So oysters, shellfish, leafy greens, fatty fish, olive oil, foods that have olive oil in them.
Okay.
They encourage the body to produce more testosterone. Look for foods that contain zinc, vitamin D, magnesium, such as tuna, egg yolks. If you're going to drink milk, use low-fat milk with vitamin D fortified. Cereals, beans, all of those.
Anything about like greens or anything, but they do contain some of the vitamins in there.
Yeah, leafy greens, yeah, sure, like spinach, that's the one that comes to mind off the top of my head. But of course, check with your food allergies and check with a dietitian to see which, combination works best for you. But those are just in general. And also you should know your food allergies. Not everyone can eat shellfish. Not everyone can eat fish.
Right. Good.
Some people don't process beans very well, so take a beano before. That's my little tip. All right.
Yeah.
So just kind of putting a summary or closing on this, I would say, unlike women who experience a rapid drop in hormone levels at menopause, like I mentioned earlier, we men will experience a more gradual decrease in testosterone over time. Again, that's called andropause, and that'll include fatigue and a decrease in libido. The older the man, the more likely he is to experience below normal testosterone levels, just as part of the aging process. And again, if your testosterone levels are below 300 deciliters, you probably are experiencing some degree of low testosterone symptoms. Again, I would recommend to go to your doctor, and they'll conduct a blood test, and therefore, based on those results, we'll recommend treatment if needed. They can discuss potential benefits and even risks of some of the testosterone medication as well. For me, I actually have to take testosterone injections and a growth hormone combination for myself. Because the other stuff just doesn't work. There are pills you can take. There are patches you can put on your skin. There are creams you can rub on your skin. For some that works, those did not work for me. So I actually had to go with the actual injections.
So let me ask you, is that, if you would exercise on a regular basis, right, and you do full body workouts, would you still need to take that?
You might, yeah. Yeah, but it would be the amount and the frequency. Your frequency and all that would be different. It's kind of like someone who has type 1 diabetes who will always have to take insulin. But if they exercise and eat correctly, the amount of insulin, the dosages that they have to do per day will be, for better. They may not have to do 6 injections a day. They may have to do 2. So it's the same thing with testosterone treatments. All we can say is that there is no cure, obviously, because it's built into the aging process, but that there are effective treatments, and exercise and diet have profound effects on that.
Good point. I think
So anything you want to add?
one thing I will add is that even though I'm in my early 50s, I'm in better shape now than I was in my 40s. And my libido is, like I said, I talk to my wife more, but which I do. And,
Yeah.
yeah, when you're married, not to get too much into it, but it's a running joke about, I got a headache, later this weekend, and before you know it, we have a podcast talking about it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but one thing I will want to really hit home here is movement. Our bodies. We have many podcasts that support this, and we've talked about it. Movement is a way we are designed. Our bodies are designed. Our bodies are also designed to process clean food. And there's a list here to help with your T
Choices.
levels.
Mhm.
And so you can't discount the many benefits of not. We're not talking about, and I'm not talking about extensive CrossFit training. We're just talking about movement, multi-movement exercises,
Yeah.
low impact, elevate your heart rate. You need
Doing yard work, gardening. I mean,
to do
clean your gutters, wash your windows,
it on.
housework.
Yeah, and stretching is so important.
Yeah.
When you get older, even when you're younger, my son is not as flexible as I am.
Yeah.
That's not a, I guess that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because he needs to learn how to be more flexible. And
Yeah.
you might start at a young age like I did because it
Yeah.
does carry forward to your adult life
Yeah.
and beyond, and you carry it on to your family and your members. Um, so the low T is just a part of life, obviously, but you can, just like diabetes, like you mentioned, you can combat that with good eating and exercise. And so this is what we do. We're both in the wellness realm of things, and I'm more on the coaching side and putting fitness plans together. And circuit. My biggest thing is circuit workouts. Love them, but it does work. Like I tell my son, I know you don't like doing this, but but it's something
Gonna do it anyways. No,
you have
kidding.
to. You really do, and you feel so much better when you're done. Like sandbag workouts, it's brutal, but it's
But your son also does baseball, so it's not like your son isn't active.
right,
And so is your daughter. So you have a very active family.
right.
Right. So one thing I did want to add is that although testosterone does affect libido, your libido actually comes from your adrenal glands. So if a man is experiencing a high sex drive, but they can't perform,
Hmm.
that's also a sign of low T.
Hmm.
Because your sex drive is a combination of things. It's not one thing only. You can have the desire to want to be intimate, but then you can't physically perform.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone could physically perform, but they don't have the desire.
Yep.
And there could be psychological reasons in that too. But I just don't want to understand that people who have a high sex drive but can't perform don't think that they have low T.
Yep.
They can have low T.
That's
Yeah,
very
they're
good.
not always together. They can be separate.
I believe when you get tested, the doctors do check for your adrenal too. I think.
Yes, they check for all of that. To have a full blood panel done, every adult, every person should have a full panel done every year, just as part of their annual physical, just to see what their chemical levels are in their body. And it should be fasting. So you go in there at a baseline,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can look. Of course, they check your cholesterol, your sugar, but also your sex hormones, because sex hormones also are influencing other parts of our body. Like I mentioned, blood cell levels. They affect our bone mass. It's not just sex drive and reproductive functions. They do have other functions in them, which is why as we get older, we become more susceptible to illnesses and certain cancers that we weren't susceptible when we were younger because we had high sex hormone levels in our body to kind of shield our body from those effects. So they said there's like heart disease has also been linked to sex hormone levels too. So
Good point. Well done, Eston. Well done indeed.
thank you.
We are out of time, and this concludes our podcast with Coach Bill and Coach Eston. But don't worry, there's always more. Join us next time when we will be discussing hypothyroidism, which affects about 20 million Americans, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, be healthy, be strong, be a life warrior.
And be well.
The opinions and topics expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and do not necessarily support the opinions and views of the wellness community. We would love to hear your thoughts, so click on the message button and give us your constructive feedback. Thank you for listening and make a positive difference today.